If you have no idea at all who Caleb Ralston is, he's the guy who built the personal brand for Alex Hormozi and GaryVee. And I know you heard of those two individuals if you're into business. Even if you're not into business, you probably heard their name before. Now I'm about to watch a 6-hour course on this, and this is gonna take me a while. So there's two main questions that I wanna have answered by the end of this course. A, how the hell do I build a personal brand? What do I need to kind of define in order to have my personal brand mapped out? And the second question that I wanna have answered is how should I go about my content moving forward with this brand new channel. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so it is 5:37. I'm late by like 15 minutes, but it's day 2 of watching Caleb's personal brand course. So as I set this up so I can get my second camera angle view, we are going to get started. All right, glasses on now. This is really boring, but I found out that like when I'm lacking a little bit of energy, if I do any bit of like push-ups or just like any exercise in general, it'll get me to kind of perk up a little bit. I also have a secret, I guess you can call it, product that kind of helps perk me up. One second. All right, so I bought smelling salts from Amazon. I give this a little gentle shake. I open it up and then I can smell it from here. Oh shit, all right. And we're good to go. So let's lock back in. All right, so I just got done with the course. Going into this course, there was 2 main questions that I wanted to have answered. One, I simply wanted to know exactly how I can go about building my personal brand, what steps that I need to take in order to have an identity of what I want my personal brand to be. And the second one was what potential problems may I need to overcome in order to successfully build my personal brand. I can say after watching this course for 6 hours, I got the answer to those 2 questions. Before I even give my own, I guess you would want to say, opinions on the 6-hour course, make sure to go watch it yourself. If you're someone who's just starting out and doesn't have the resources to build a content creation team, you just need to watch part 1 and part 2 of the course, which is brand and content. Those were the moments that I found the most useful. However, coming back to topic now to answer the first question, really we have to define what brand is. So brand is the output of branding. And Caleb's definition of branding is just simply pairing 2 relevant things together done consistently. Now, good branding is when you intentionally do this. Now, brand is what you think of when you hear somebody's name. So let's say, for example, you hear Alex Hormozi. If you hear Alex Hormozi, the first thing that you probably gonna think is some jack dude with a beard, and maybe he wears a tank top, sometimes he wears a flannel. And for the OG people who've been watching Alex for a little minute, you know he had on those sandals for a little while. We didn't forget about those, Alex. No, seriously, when you hear his name, you think of acquisition.com, you think of business, you think of everything he wants you to think when you hear his name. This is good branding. So when it comes to branding, it's just basically the things that people associate your name or your company with. Now, how you go about building a brand is by first kind of like how you would go about building your ideal version of yourself. I don't know if you remember back in like 2020 when the whole self-improvement really got a big kick. And don't get me wrong, I definitely was on this train myself. However, one of the biggest things was about building your ideal self. How would you want to act? What would you want to be? And all of this, right? Most people try to build themselves like a 2.0 version of Batman. And again, I was on this train myself. However, building a brand is similar to that, right? You want to build the characteristics that you want to be known for, and you want to start to change your behaviors to suit the ideal character that you want. The same with personal branding, except you are broadcasting this not only to yourself, because when you build your ideal self, it's really just between you and like the future version of yourself. But when you're building a personal brand, you're building you and you're broadcasting it to others. Some of the key questions that I got from his framework was like, what do you want your desired outcome to be? I had a very hard time with this question until I just realized it was just, what do you want your brand to do for you as an end goal? The next thing about personal branding is like your brand associations. Like, what do you want to be known for? And then what do you don't want to be known for? Just how you want to know what you want to be associated for, you want to know what you don't want to be associated with. The next thing, last one I think, is just like the core truth of your personal brand. So this is just simply, what do you want to be known for? Like, what is the core truth that you believe in that potentially others, may know of, but don't pay as much attention to, or it's just completely against? I would say for me, mine was just very simple. I believe that you should become a problem solver, because solving problems is what creates value. And then when you create value, the resources attract themselves, whether this is money, people, or skills. All in all, I would like to say it's been 6 hours straight, but it has not. It's been more like 12 to 18 hours. However, I did learn a lot from this, and it really is going to help me bridge the next gap into how I want my content to be moving forward. I'm gonna end this video here because I'm pretty sure my battery is gonna die. So peace and love, be a problem solver, and see you next time until the last time.